Hello, hello. Okay, it should be good. Turn that down. Hmm. What? Is the Hi, Tinglish. Good morning. I don't know what's going on with my. Okay, that came at like the end of my last one, huh? Okay. Oh, I'm going to clear that out and start getting my notes together here. It's been a while. Hi, Logan. Don't see you that often, Logan. So, let me actually. Okay, so I'm going to. Oh, that's fine. I will get to Patreon. Oh, excuse me. I'll be right back. Yeah. Well, I can't sleep in on Saturdays because I set this up. Uh, also, get into. We're going to just. Can I go see the page itself? Yeah, view page. There we go. That's what I want. So we had a poll. Give me a second. So I actually broke it down to just two options on this poll, right? Because what I was looking at was when I actually looked into it, the idea that it was pre-verbal and it would be pre-verbal for the main verb, and then you get an auxiliary and somehow it's still like before the verb. That I was trying to find some antidote for that, and maybe there is one, but it's not just that I couldn't figure out. And why is this two different A's? I have no idea what happened there. It's the the thing about it is like there's more than just okay, does a language do this? There's also like why I realized after the stream it was weird, and that is kind of a theoretical reason. It's like if you are if you have the negative on the main verb when there is an auxiliary, that kind of messes with what is the scope of negation. Because there are cases in a language. I'll just use English examples. You can have like he may not have seen it. He may have not seen it. Right? Crucially, we actually do not have he may have seen not it, right? So that's the thing. Like I don't find any languages that do this where they stick it on, but we do sometimes like stick it on the modal versus stick it on the auxiliary, and there is like a subtle difference. There is like a subtle difference in meaning there. And I was thinking about like if this existed in a language, would it mean something different? Right? Because here in English here, he may not have seen it. It's hard to explain in words how that meaning subtly shifts. It's like here It's much more of a neutral interpretation of like of just in general. He didn't see it. He potentially didn't see it. Here it's like he had he had an opportunity to see it and did not, and probably did not, or has a possibility of not seeing it, right? And so when we get into that, and then I say, oh, it's actually like the negation was always attached to the verb, even when there's an auxiliary. It's more than just I can't find a language that does this. It's also like, if a language could do this, would that like lead to differences in what that kind of negative means? So that's why I ultimately decided to just remove the preverbal option. And then with the options that I did give, people people were like, okay, well, we're just gonna say you require an auxiliary. So it's just like English do support, where um, so there is, so we don't need to say if there is an auxiliary. And the same is true for this one. And then we can also say, yeah, if there is a free modal, the negative may attach to the modal rather than the auxiliary. And okay, so modals are a type of auxiliary, but they're like different from other auxiliaries. And let's go with the present tense. We go, let's have two copies, and then we need to go look at what are our modals for this one. Oh, okay. Ut. Interesting. So we only have this modal. Okay. Let me fix that. Okay. That's interesting. So we go with ut. Capitalize that. It. It. Shriba. Shiba. Bashi. Is that why is... Okay, yeah. And then we, the same thing. Let me just double check. Ute also exists. So we could have that. Oh. It, 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 it. That's interesting. Why is that? Well, was that? It's actually no. It. It should actually be. It. And then. Itba. Okay. And we won't worry about what the scope stuff is with that. We can. Give me a second. Is anyone else having a terrible time with allergies? Because my nose has been running constantly all spring. It is very, it is a very uncomfortable thing to be streaming through. Right. Always, yeah. So So that is how negation works. Now, we need to think today about questions. And we're going to go back through to the Silva notes, our original notes here, and we'll go to instructions. And did we do... We did quite a lot, actually. So we have negation, we have possession. We'll come back to possession. auxiliary verbal constructions, auxiliaries. We're solid on that. Passive and anti-passive. I'm gonna have to deal with that. Property words. So attributive and predicative property words. Property words is a way of mentioning inhalers. Oh, yeah. So the funny thing is, at the beginning of COVID, I was experiencing shortness of breath. I went to the doctor, and they thought I had asthma and prescribed me an inhaler. And plug myself back in. And like the symptoms resolved themselves, and I like was pretty sure I didn't have long-term asthma. And I just lost the inhaler at work, and then just never went to try to find it or get another one because like I felt like I didn't need it. So we have this is interesting. So we did a whole bunch of like different kinds of subordinate clauses, which is great. This is like the I have to tell you, like the extent to which we developed the grammar of Middle Fey is not what I typically do for effectively a proto language. I mean, look at proto reptilian. It's just like roots, and I mean Middle Fey is the like a middle stage, and Elder Fey is just like sketchy phonology and the root words. But even so, like the fact that I took this middle stage and developed out so much grammar is, I mean, this is why this series has taken so long. Is I just like did all of this extra work. But as we go to the descendants, I think it will pay off because I have to do less work on them. To just say like, okay, where did these structures go as we move on? But for some reason I don't have questions worked out. Now, if we look at let's take a look at our that said, I developed a bunch of this out, but I did not like I didn't gloss this, and that's annoying. Um b b pst b pit b pit p kutr tweasi but 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 did but did. Um, so they're just adjacent, huh? Yeah. Nothing about the clauses indicate anything. So what I'm thinking about is interesting that we never got to our like politeness system, but we can work on that. So I believe there might have been some note down here about this. So we have a lot of basic word order. Fully shifted over to VSO default word order, while day and night still insert the subject between the auxiliary and the matrix verb. The subject can always be fronted for focus. That's something I haven't actually like dealt with. So one thing is, let's work with questions. Right, and should be heading 3. Yeah, questions. And we'll start with polar questions. Since polar questions are usually like a simpler thing to start with, huh? This should be heading 4. So let's actually ask, so one thing I want to ask is, Irish is VSO, right? Or let's just look at the Celtic languages. How many of these are VSO actually? Irish is VSO, Scottish Gaelic is VSO, is Welsh VSO? So the reason I ask about that is that if the language is normally VSO, then we can't do question inversion, which is what most European languages do, right? So I'm trying to think about Um, okay, there's an article just about Irish syntax. That's useful. Okay, and the Scottish Gaelic has okay, word order in neutral negative have both single and double negatives in the main clause. That's not. We're gonna let double negatives happen. I think in this language, we should jump back and do that. Yes, no questions. Okay, so in Scottish Gaelic, there's just a particle. Okay, let's look at Irish questions. The answer to a question contains a repetition of the verb, either with or without a negative particle. We can do that. In fact, because we have the obligatory auxiliaries, we could just have it be the auxiliary that gets repeated, right? I think that might be something we do. Um, and I cannot. I need to learn how to read Irish out if I'm going to do this project at some point. But um, so Irish also just has a question particle. Okay, so they also have a negated question particle, huh? That's cool. And I'll just check Welsh quickly. Oh, Philippe, привет. Привет. I learned the word привет from a Russian girl that I met while studying in China. A tonal language like Korean. Oh yeah, because Korean has the. I think that Korean is variable. Some of them have the quote unquote pitch accent system, and some like Seoul Korean doesn't apparently. But anyway, um, I just want to know how questions work. Why this is this is okay. This is the syntax. Oh, that's the general syntax. I want Welsh syntax, and I want to get okay, and then it's about arguments about okay. I think that the you not Korean, so you're exploring from scratch. It's cool. I think learning Korean is a little trendy right now because of K-pop. But well, although people have, in the conlangi community, people have always had some interest in Korean, partly because of like a fascination with Hangul, right? The Hangul alphabet is, there are people who like oversell it, but it does have some interesting unique features, mainly the fact that it is an alphabet but is arranged into syllable blocks, as it's, and those syllable blocks have a certain aesthetic quality that is very appealing, at least to me. um there are people who oversell it and talk about, oh, it's a featural. No, it's not. Or like it was based on tongue shapes. Probably not. It's probably derived from Pangspa, but it is like visually interesting because of the way it's constructed. Um, okay, so I think I think that we're going to keep things simple, and we're just going to do with a question particle. And I think the question particle might be just like a modal. Let's see. I want to see, like, where does this, if I could go to Wiktionary, and the Irish particle is un. Let's go to Irish. Okay, this is the different article. Yeah, so this is it. So it's from Proto Old Irish in, from Proto-Celtic sindos, this. That's interesting. So it's from a demonstrative. I usually think of, like, let's see, just as a point of comparison, just for points of comparison, let's take a look at some other question particles. Um, uh, uh, Dictionary. Now, what does it, do you have a, okay, we go to the, there we go. So etymology, so not plus an ah. That's for Cantonese. Because that's usually what I think of. Um, question particles are often sort of derived from not, right? Um, so could we do not? Um, yeah. I mean, so the thing about inversion, Tinguish, is that our languages that we're working on are VSO. So if you can't do verb inversion because the verb is always first. So I'm thinking that I will do the Irish thing, and make it a question particle. I'm just kind of thinking about, like, where does our question particle come from? In In Irish, it comes from a demonstrative. And actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Um, another, so you can source question particles like what? Okay. Uh, let's see. Let's pull up the world, the um, world lexicon of grammaticalization. We're gonna go there, and we're gonna look up question particles. And I'm going to go to the and can I get the target source list, and we're going to go probably down to the bottom. Okay, questions. S question. Okay. Okay, so World Lexicon of Grammaticalization says negation. That's what I expected, or, which also makes sense. The conjunction or, right? Um so those are possibilities. So let's take a look at things that we have here. Yeah. We'll get to content questions. Yeah, I don't know what's the S question. Let me see. Why is it being so slow? S is the polar. Okay, that's fine. That's what we're doing right now. W question is the other. So W question will be down here. We'll figure out what our strategy for um those are is later. So S question, we have negation or a demonstrative. So if we do negation, it would probably be like a dead negation marker. Um, maybe there was, maybe we have like a Jesperson cycle going on where we had a pre-verbal negation and then this bond became a post-verbal negation and the old pre-verbal negation died. Um, and became a question marker. We could do interesting things with that. Um, if we go with the demonstrative, we have this dead proximal. Um, but the thing is, the proximal became articles, which, I mean, to use that for both would work in an interesting way to reflect what seems to be going on in Irish, right? Because if I go back to an, it's saying that this and the, I don't know if Wikipedia is actually right on this, but apparently it's saying that both of these come from in, which comes from sindus. Unless I'm missing something. Let's take a look. Okay. No, 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 no. No, the interrogative particle is from a different source. There we go. Could be from Proto-Celtic ne. What's ne? And there's not actually not. Okay, so actually, no. It could. Irish could have just got it from, like, it could be. Okay, so there's two competing theories from where the Irish an came from. It's either from a Proto-Celtic negator or from Latin or, right? Um, and it just happens to collide with the definite article through sound changes. That is interesting. Or it could be, okay, so it could actually be, or, so it could have been like, or not. Um, so let's think about this. If we go with a negator, I have an interesting idea. So if we go with a negator, here's my thought about this: is we go with a very old negator, and what we do is we say, okay, there was a Jesperson cycle, ba, the ba or ban in middle middle fey overtook a preverbal negator. Now, this preverbal negator, I kind of did something like this in Deca. This preverbal negator becomes, maybe we do fuse it with or, and that becomes a question particle. But we want to do negative concord. In order to do negative concord, we have to be able to negate nouns. So, in order to do that, we could just keep ban attaching to nouns, or we could take this preverbal negator and say it was also used before nouns, and then have a completely different negator before nouns. I mean, you know, English kind of has this, but it's less visible because yeah. Um because in English, like all of the negators are related. There's no and non and not. They're like doublets. Non is loaned, I think, but they're like all related to the same Proto-Indo-European root. I would be thinking of this being like derived, and like on the surface it's not going to be immediately obvious that this is what happened. But yeah, I think we could do that. Let's try to get some short negator forms. Um, I want to get. I think I want to have the or not. So I want to get two short forms involved, and then we will get that. Um, do I have a word for or before we get started here? Um, yeah. Perhaps, and a conjunction for joining verb phrases as sources for the polar question marker. Yeah, I mean you can go multiple places with this, I'm sure. I'm just like looking at the common ones that it's giving me, and I think like the or not is actually super interesting. Let me pull up Obsidian. Did we make a word for or, a pre-existing word for or? That's gonna be a giant pain to actually find that. Okay. Conjunction. So I have a full set of conjunctions for ndekaga, of course, but I do not have. If we search within this folder, or yeah, I don't think I have any conjunctions at all. So we can. Hello, Aaron. Um, I actually don't know if I pronounce your name correctly, Aaron. Um, Aaron O. Zwiwent. I think Welsh is more straightforward than Irish in pronunciation, right? So we are free to. Did I really not have? That's not fun. Uh, the bee's knees. Oh, we are not doing so. We already decided how negation of verb complex works. Basically, that was part of our poll. You are required to use an auxiliary, and the negator cliticizes to the auxiliary. It's basically, it's actually basically just like English, which is, I know most of the time with conlanging, people try to run away from English, but I actually wanted to add some callbacks to English in this particular language because um um yeah because like uh English English culture definitely contributes to the sort of modern fairy lore. And so I wanted to have Celtic, English, and Nordic like callbacks within this language. Not, I don't know if like it's still a priori, and it also still has things that don't exist in any of those languages. But yeah, Aaron o Zuiwent, Zuiwent. Aaron o Zuiwent. Okay. Okay, Aaron o Zuiwent. Okay. The W does throw me off sometimes with Welsh. But like it's like not a bad it's not it's not actually something that's difficult except for when you have experience with other languages. Um gosh, we're an hour in and we're still talking about this stuff. So let's go ahead and start generating roots because we need to get this started. And oh, I didn't want to do that. I want to do the 10 roots generate. Okay, so we've got quite a few of these short roots that we can choose from. Um, I'm just going to go through, and since this is a negator, it's going to be simple. Let's TP is not one I'm going to carry through. Okay. This is interesting. So if we had that, then we would get an adjective in Dawn, right? So open. What? What's going on? Oh. Oh my. Oh. This is okay. Let's talk about this. So this is super interesting because we could like we'd have if we have this if we choose this one for something in one of these things, then we're gonna be showcasing the we're gonna be like showing our QP split all the time because we're gonna have p, p, p versus hu, right? Um, does anyone happen to know an economist? No, I do not. Um, or there's somebody in the audience that likes economic stuff, right? So I want to use this for something actually. So and so actually, let me just say, okay, let's make a poll. let me not reveal. Anything about myself here. Why am I not able to? Oh, okay. Let's actually let me pull up my other thing here. That's okay. I can do that over here. Straw poll. And we will so that okay, so I am actually logged in there. So what? Let me pull this up. Is the meaning of middle fey this is also a form that is immune to um, and show the advanced settings. Where is the so we're going to do it. At 9:10 a.m. Okay. Create the poll. Please click the link to the poll. And I will be monitoring those results myself here. The question is like, we're going to use this form and it's going to be part of the question particle. So the question is it or? Did it mean or did it mean not? And that can affect it. Like, that affects like where it's positioned and all of that. So we got 5 minutes of that, and then we're going to talk about this a heading 4 thing. use a sentence initial question particle. And I don't know, why is my typing lagging? Yeah, I did work on names. We have a whole thing about proper nouns, and if you so we actually some of this is relevant. So I mentioned a little bit about how names work in the the Fey Week video, the Bee's Knees, and also in the document that is linked from that video. The basic idea is that personal names are transparent. Um, these are actually not how it is. Usually, it's actually a short phrase or a compound, and the class of the name matches the class of the bearer of the name, which means that the ones that I've created so far are mostly class 3 for predators, because I'm working on the more like elf-like fae, which are predator class. In the future, I might decide I want to make like Dryadic dialect or yeah, Dryadic dialects, or which Dryad names might end up being autotroph class. I don't know. Um, Things like that. There might be straight up herbivores among the Fae, things like that. Um, I'm actually thinking of pixies being class 4, which is parasites, decomposers, and symbiotes, because I associate pixies with butterflies and flowers, and I feel like they're like pollinator coded, kind of, in my mind. And pollinators I put in class 4, because their whole strategy is a symbiotic relationship with flowers, right? But that is an interesting thing. But I I class them according to the person who's bears the name, which is actually like a change. Hello 1312 from Twitch. We got a poll running. Yeah. 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 Um it kind of depends on when you get into like specific types of fae and how they would be classed and such. Um Thought you were gonna imply their little pains. Yeah. It it really depends on the world building, if you're gonna like talk about what the classes are for specific types of fae. My the speakers of the languages I'm working on are like the ancestors of the elves. And I take these fae to be a reflection of humanity. And so, coming from that, humans are predator class. Um, and I have implied if you are a vegan, then you're gonna have to have some kind. There's gonna be some kind of like question about what class to use for you specifically. But humans in general are predator class because um we are not we are omnivorous. It is possible for humans to survive on a plant diet, but it is kind of difficult because we need we don't produce certain proteins that herbivores produce, and the easiest source for those proteins is meat. Um, so, and also just like the role that humans play in the ecosystem, even if you don't eat meat personally, the role of human society and humans is an apex predator generally. There's a I put a lot of thought into justifying putting that, even though I don't even have a word for humans yet. I will be making a word for humans soon, but it will be predator class. Um it's just a lot of thought. Okay, voting closed, and people are I mean, it's kind of divided, but our general consensus, our general idea, the majority vote was for this to be not, which is super interesting. Um, yeah, yeah. So nouns, nouns are negated with the prefix, and let's actually put this all into our obsidian so that we keep track of everything. And so we need to go all the way back and get the protoform, which was school. And what that meant at the beginning, who knows? And then Middle Sylvan, the Middle Fey form is cool, cool, cool. May have been sort of an adjective, like cool, cool. But we'll go with this. Okay. And this is particle? I don't know. This also gives us an interesting place to branch off if we go with like different dialects for or different like language families for pixies or dryads or other types of fae, then maybe some of them kept this negator, right? Um and so we go, and oh, I forgot the etymology. Okay. Um School. And then we're going to go on to um, get the Dawn form in. Dawn, it is B. And this is actually just fully a prefix. Okay. Oh, Middle Fey. It's Middle Fey. And we need to put in our pronunciation. And it doesn't get stressed. P, P. Actually, so this should not actually have a tone in this form. because it's not going to be stressed, right? Right? And it's not going to be long. So it's just P, P, and then Dusk is going to have something similar. We can we can put a say triggers lenition mutation forms. So it cannot mutate itself, but it triggers lenition on what it's attached to. And that it will be true of both. And okay. And then we go in here and we're going to go get the just get the this part of that. Answering questions from the Fae is dangerous business. I would say also asking questions of them is dangerous business. You don't know how it will be interpreted. So we got versus qui. And now let's go, since we have figured that out, let's talk about what are we going to go with for this or, right? So we have how, so ho, ho versus ha, pie versus pi, pie, shwa, sha. Why? Why is it shwa, chwa? Whoa! How did that happen? That's shwa versus sha. Okay. Ta, ta versus te. They most of these have some difference. So I think I'm gonna that is something that we will something that we will talk about. Let's actually put this in Excel so I can turn it into tables. So So these are the Dawn forms. And these are the Dusk forms. And then we're going to go with the, what is the middle Fey forms. And I think I'm going to just eliminate these off the bat because I don't want this to be super heavy. But let's see. Che versus cha. Pi versus pie. Swa versus sha. Da versus da. I like the ones that show like a clear difference too. It's like we're going to end up with two slightly different question particles. No matter what, because we are combining with a different, but I actually do like all of these options have some change, and just the difference in I'm not 100% sure because I don't know how the heck this happens. I want to trace changes on that one in particular. So okay, so let's actually trace changes in Dawn. Oh, interesting. So this W hangs out as labialization on the on this vowel for quite a while before the schwa insertion, and then schwa is inserted with that labialization there. Oh, okay. I kind of like how that works. That's fine. Whereas in Dusk, what's happening with that one? We have a similar thing happen, but okay, we get a rule that just deletes the secondary before we add the schwa, and we end it with sha. Okay. I'm not always in love with this deletion of the with the way that this deletion of the initial consonant here tends to collapse a bunch of forms, but I think it could work here. One thing about this particular form is that, like in Dawn, it will still be distinct, but in Dusk, it could give that false connection between the question particle and the definite article that Irish and that Irish shows. I don't know if you guys care about that though, and there are other, I think all of these are good options. So let me set up another poll. So what is our word for or? And keep in mind, this will be a word for or. I don't know if it will continue into the modern language so much. Um, um, and just to And then I think all of these could be good options. Just depends on what you guys, which one you guys like the most, right? Sorry, taking me a minute to get this set up because I want to present it correctly. And so what kind of poll? I want this to be a ranking poll, and I will give you guys 10 minutes on it. So until 9:40. And let me get the share link. Okay. Go and do that. While we're doing that, we've got like 30 minutes left, so we do need to be looking at other stuff. Let's go into, we also want WH questions. And for that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to take a look at Celtic a little bit. Maybe, okay. Yeah. The question I have here, so this is only handling yes, no questions. So Aaron, is there anything interesting about um Aaron, is there anything interesting about Celtic the Celtic uh questions? The question word questions. Something I could think about is fronting the question word, which is something I don't normally do because it's super like European. So WH questions in general. We look at WH question. There's a couple of parameters that we want to think about. Yeah. So the two things we want to ask about, they always take, so the question word always takes the clause initial position. They're not as clearly related as most question words in English. Do they Okay. That's interesting. Do you so the two main parameters I think of when I'm talking about question word sentences is fronting versus question word, fronting versus in situ, which it looks like you're saying that they do have fronting, and then the other one is, are the interrogative pronouns separate from indefinite pronouns? Um, and from what you're saying, it's like the interrogative pronouns are not like a set of like related words like English, where all of them start with the "hua," right? But or not obviously so, right? And but they are separate from the indefinites because yeah. There's a distinction between where are you from versus where is. Okay. Yeah, so we'll probably have to we may have to do another stream to work through like the individual question words because you do have details like that. Um like do you what distinctions do you have, right? Um so that's interesting. Do we do the English thing where they all start with the same thing because of I don't know what it was. And that's like a proto-Indo-European thing that the question words derive from something that started with que, right? With a qua, right? And that's why it's the same in English as in like French. French also has, or as in like Spanish, or all the Romance languages have the you know que quien cual cual I guess is probably related. What do you mean by separate from the indefinite? So in Mandarin, the question words and the interrogative pronouns and the indefinite pronouns are the same. So shay means who, and it also means someone. Uh, shenma means what, or it means something. It's just a thing. Declensions of an interrogative particle pronoun. Yeah, it seems like. Yeah. So that's that's just a one thing I always think about is Mandarin happens to have it, but I think other languages do that. Is that they just don't differentiate between those two things. Um, it's yeah. So they are distinct. We can kind of think about. We can start looking at like clicks and think about concepts and look up what. Um, so what, who or what, how, who, which, why. Thing is, it's super common for them to, but also thing, right? This is it's not just Chinese that does this. You got lots of languages. Apparently, a lot of Tupian languages have that. So are like relating it to something like this, right? Um, Like, so the biggest ones are like other question words that it will be colexified with. If we go to like Wiktionary and look up what, from Old English what, from Proto-Indo-European quad. So this meant what all the way back in Proto-Indo-European, but it's the neuter form of quos, meaning who. Uh, so like it's yeah. Uh, oh, Riwan. So Riwan is and Rubeth is what? Oh, okay. So there's sort of a relationship going on there. So as the interrogative, like okay, so this is what I was saying. So Shenma. If you look at what, something, anything, um, or the interjection of what, Shenma, 干的什么事? What what a thing to do, huh? But let's look at all the Indo-European languages are gonna give me the same stuff, right? So, me, uh, and what does that mean? What does that mean? Proto-Finnic. I just met. So here's a thing. Like Shenma is like the Shen. It's only used in Shenma. And it had like 10 meaning of 10, right? Okay. That's that's just the character, I think. And there's no etymology given here. If we go looking at other Vilken, well, that's odd for an Indo-European language to do, but we can look at it quickly. From Proto-Germanic, what like? Oh, okay. So it's like a compound. So this is actually coming from more of an like adjectival form. Few has a few different meanings, and one was some and not kind. Okay, okay, interesting. So let's see. Vas is going to be the same. I wonder if Hindi also just inherits from Indo-European quos. Okay. So it looks like question forms can like just come from way far back, right? So that's something we might want to think about. It's not giving me the Irish in the translation. So let's actually it's not giving me the Celtic ones in the translations. Let me uh um so what is the Welsh word for what? Um Let me see if I can grab Peth. Okay. Okay, so that is thing or object, but the whew. Okay, no, that's not what I'm asking, getting for. What is pa? Oh, okay. Okay. From quid, from Proto-Indo-European quid. Interesting. So that one is okay. So Welsh is a P-Celtic language, right? Um, Modern Irish. Yeah, Irish. It's cod. I think we can coin a term for what? Yeah, yeah. So I think that what's happening is it's not coming from exactly the um it's not coming from exactly the same Proto-Indo-European word, but the Celtic languages get it from the same like complex of related words that other Indo-European languages got. Yeah, and so you get yeah, so pa, that's just due to the P Celtic quote becomes pa. Um, that's interesting. It's not from exactly the same source, but it's like from a related source. So at least in Indo-European, question words are like super well preserved. So I think that these question words probably just existed as they are in Elder Fae. We can say that. Um, just with the sound changes applied. And we kind of we'll just kind of decide on like uh where did they the like did we have a bunch of related terms in maybe we had a bunch of related terms in Elder Fae, Elder Sylvan, and then like as they go into Middle Fae, maybe there's some shifts in meaning that we won't worry too much about. And then probably the ones that are in Middle Fey will mean mostly the same in the four dialects, but like there could be some shifting around, right? Many of the question words do have labials at the beginning. Pam best bie ble we faint. We could probably, so something we could do is we could try to pick an initial thing that um see, I don't know that I want to have I don't know what if that I want to replicate this 100% and put a qua in the original form. But what we can do is we can pick a form that will go in different directions based on like vowels. That's a thing. Like if you put qua, then I think if it starts with a k or a g, then it can go in some different directions. Okay, let's put a pin in this, and we're going to be coming back to doing more question stuff next time. Um, Maybe next time we'll also just do as much pronoun related stuff as we can. Um, but we need to resolve our poll, and this last poll, people basically we have the schwa versus sa winning. So what we're going to do is we're going to notate that. We're going to go here. Here we go. Where are we? Where are we? So yeah, so let's new note. Let's go jump in here and find the original. It's this, which is on its own like a crazy form. Let's can say this meant or at the beginning because I think that it will work the best that way. And then we go to Middle Fey. And in Middle Fey, it became psh, 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 psh. That's such a wild form. Or, and make sure we put the etymology. And then we go to Dawn. And Dawn, this becomes schwa. I think, let's hold off, actually. Because what I want to think about is Let's actually. So how do these combine? I think we have an or not. And what we have is so we have the schwa verse and why is it why are we what oh it became a table. I don't want to make it a table. So export. So we need the schwa and the not one is not this one. Non. Let's look for non. Um Schwab is so okay. So I mean, it could just become schwa, schwap, right? Schwap, 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 schwap. I think schwap is nice. It's losing the adjective. We could have maybe said pishwa, pishwa, but I like it being like pithy. I think just schwap, 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 and then that means the sentence initial particle schwap, schwap, and then we have in Chikafufu, we would have okay, come on. I gotta and in this one it would be schwack. Schwack. So yeah. So to get this, so we could schwack. So that would be looking to the mountain, right? and we'd have the same thing. Do I want that to have a? I think actually I do want it to get some stress and get a tone because this is the only thing that defines. Um, and then to I'm actually gonna have a question. I'm gonna do question mark because actually I think it might be very cool for the Fae to have um a split between like agreement and actual. So I may actually make words for yes and no for a thematic reason of like making it ambiguous whether they are answering you um about how they are answering a negative question. So actually let's leave that off. I'm going to have to think about that. So our next step is we're going to continue on questions because this took me much longer than I expected it to. Um, Let me quickly put these down. So I have, let's, um and I can, boom, 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 boom. I can just pull that pronunciation from somewhere here. Right. So what happens is, and then we get, we'll grab this. And we'll go ahead and document the dusk variety. Shrek. Shrep and Shrek. Shrek and Shrek. So these are the two, and then I think it is time for me to log off. So next time we are going to say we're going to talk about how to answer polar questions. Or actually, I think I will make a poll. I'm going to sort out like what the options are for polar questions. And then next time we're going to go and so for answers to polar questions. And then after that, what we'll do is we will move on to WH questions. Okay. All right. Thank you all for watching. This has been great. And I'm going to say happy conlang.